Saludos a todos. Yo soy Tito Puente Jr. Hi, everybody. I'm Tito Puente Jr., son of Mambo legend Tito Puente. As we celebrate his, would have been his 98th birthday this week. He was born on April 20th, 1923. But I'm glad to be hanging out with you, Ralph, and the students all around the world. And thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Can you talk to the kids a little bit about, obviously, your dad probably had some influence on you getting into music, but, how did you get started with percussion? Was it just like a very, very young age? You just started getting into hitting the drums, or how did it all come about for you?
I was born and raised in New York City in Spanish Harlem. And of course, in our home, when you're younger, their parents always tell you don't touch things. And what do? I went and touched the drums. So we had a lot of drums in the garage, and that's how I started playing percussion. My father didn't teach me how to play percussion. I had to go to school, learn how to read and write music. And I got the opportunity to play in a band at the very young age of 13 and 14 years old, and started traveling professionally at the age of 15 and 16 with rock music. I was a trap kit player first. Then I moved over to Latin percussion, which is the timbales, bongo, and conga, as I got older. But traveling around with my father for many, many years over his 50-year career, I got to see amazing percussion playing, and of course the fans around the world. It was just a great experience. So I'm so happy to have that opportunity to celebrate his life and his legacy throughout the years of him being on this planet. He passed away 21 years ago this year. But we're celebrating tomorrow, April 20th. It would have been his 98th birthday. I have a cool shirt here, if you can see it. Tito Puente. And it was just, again, I love playing percussion, and I learned simply by hands-on. And my father was a street musician. He started off in El Barrio in New York City, in Spanish Harlem. And he played for many different orchestras when he had a very young age as well. But he was a street musician. And then after the war in 1940s, he went to school to Juilliard, learned how to read and write and do composition. And then he became what we know today as Mr. Tito Puente, that extravagant, mambo king, as the world knows today. But he started in very humble beginnings, poor in the recluse world of Spanish Harlem at that time. This was the Great Depression of the 1920s and 30s. But he brought mambo music alive around the world, and I continue that legacy now.
Absolutely. And we're so excited because I know that you have a lot of projects on the horizon, and we'll talk about those in a second. But one of our students in France, they want to know what was it like?
Buongiorno.
She wants to know, what was it like transitioning from rock music to the mambo era of New York City in the 50s? It's kind of like the style of music that you have now.
Yeah. Well, the Tito Puente music that you hear today is nothing more short than just innovative. At the time when he recorded it was the 1950s at the nightclub, the Palladium. It was a very popular club in New York City. There was Machito, Tito Rodriguez. These were the big three Palladium orchestras of the time. But notwithstanding that, those songs stood the test of time for over 5 decades. They still do. I still perform those tunes even after his passing, and so we're talking about maybe even 6 or 7 decades that these songs have been around. But it was a really weird, because growing up in New York, I loved all types of music, hip hop, rock music. I love heavy metal music. And my father didn't care for it too much. He was into jazz and salsa and mambo, you guys call today. So he was into that bag, but it was really a great experience seeing rock and Latin music come together with the Mr. Carlos Santana remade one of my father's songs, which was Oye Como Va in 1971. And it became an overnight hit and became a worldwide hit after that. And it was rock in Spanish, rock en español. And that's when my father first dabbed into the rock world. But I was always growing up I'm an 80s kid, so I always grew up listening to that rock style and pop music, and I was into heavy metal, and it was wild for me listening to Iron Maiden and then listening to my father. So it was like, what a contrast. But I loved playing all styles of music. I only continued my father's legacy after his passing and keep with the mambo stuff. But one day I'm going to connect mambo and metal music. So don't count me out yet. I'm going to make that happen.
We're excited. We're excited
Yeah.
for all the stuff that you have on the horizon. We have a question from Mev in Italy. She had a really good student question. You should be able to unmute and ask.
Buonanotte.
Hi, Tito. Nice to meet you.
Mucho gusto. Un placer de conocerte. Hi, how are you? Buongiorno.
Fine, thank you. I would like to know when you decide to become the musician you are today. I mean, when you were a kid and you watched your dad playing music, did you already think that was going to be your path?
I did not. I used to fall asleep at his concerts all the time. I did not think, I didn't know what impact that he made around the world with Latin music, but it was something that I wasn't really poised to do. I did love music. And again, I was listening to pop and rock and hip hop, and I was listening to all kinds of different genres of music on my cassette tapes. Um, However, when I traveled with my father and I saw how much joy that Tito Puente brought around the world, including Italy, loved going there. And he brought the people together, and people would recognize his music and they would dance to his music. And it was that's where I really caught the bug of playing Latin music. And I saw how much far reaching his music and had the potential to reach all four corners of the world. I think Tito Puente performed on every continent except Antarctica. But maybe one day we'll play out there for the Penguins and bring some mambo over there. But just incredible, an incredible way of bringing people together through music, through the conga, the Latino rhythms, ritmo Latino, and that's what Tito Puente did for everybody. Thanks for your question. Gracias. Grazie,
So
grazie, muy grazie.
we're definitely trying to keep that legacy alive by, connecting you with the next generation and keeping that music going all over the world. So we got a couple questions down in Boca at Mr. Marechko's class. They should be able to unmute. Let's see.
Boca Raton, Florida, love you.
Yeah, they're right down in your neck of the woods.
That's right.
Go ahead, Mr. Marechko.
All right. Hello, Tito. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Absolutely. A question we had was, we talk about music and other forms of art to do as expression, just the same way like in a media class, we teach them how directors can express certain things. So how do you and what you remember from your father and other musicians kind of build messages into songs or even just instrumental music in order to convey those feelings and those messages?
Most of the music that Tito Puente wrote and is all about feeling. When he was composing, from what I remember when I was as a young boy, when my father composed, he had a lot of the radio station was on and the TV was on and stuff, but he focused in on the dancers. And mambo music is built on dancing. There is no mambo music, or salsa as we call it today, without salsa dancing. And of course, the dancers wouldn't be dancing if it wasn't for the great mambo musicians and Latin musicians that he did. Most of the lyrics that Tito Puente put into his songs were very particular to mambo dancing, mambo gozón, mambo rama, mambo gallego. It was all about the dance steps that they particular. Rancancan, one of those tunes that's very, very popular in the Tito Puente repertoire, was based simply on the sound of the timbale when my father played the drums. So it's that racata, rancancan sound. And that's where he came up with those lyrics. And of course, Oye Como Va, very popular song around the world. This is how it goes, the rhythm. He's talking about a lady dancing, and it's very, very, very simple lyrical content that Tito Puente, because he was too focused, and very much so focused on the ingenuity of the horn section and the excitement of the music at all. Listen to any Tito Puente record and you'll feel very, very excited with the sound that comes from that orchestra, from 1949 all the way till his unfortunate passing in 2000. But thank you for your question, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. We have Giorgio in Italy. Going back to Italy, Giorgio, you should be able to unmute. You had a pretty cool question.
Buongiorno, Italianos.
Buongiorno. Hi.
Buongiorno.
So I would like to start saying that it's a pleasure to meet you, and I would also like to ask you this question. What do you think is the most influential genre during this period of time?
The most popular genre at this period of time, like during this pandemic, I mean, all music really brings people together, but for me in particular, I love seeing the mambo dancing. I'm on all the social media platforms, the Instagram, the TikToks, and the Facebook and everything. And what I see a lot is that people are being quarantined at home. They want to hear something that brought people together. And Tito Puente did that. His music really brought people together. And I love seeing the great mambo dancing that people do to my father's music. I encourage everybody to do that with the challenges and stuff. But I think the genre of music, and Latin music in general, is very, very popular now with the likes of Bad Bunny, Jennifer Lopez, Ricky Martin, Mark Anthony. These recording artists really thrive on bringing people closer, bilingual or no bilingual. Our language is really the music. And Tito Puente's music really resonated that. He opened the door for all those artists and for many other recording artists, not in this Latin music genre as well. Percussion, to have a Latin percussion player in front of an orchestra was very innovative and unique at the time. And Tito Puente did that for over 50 years of his career. But to me, that genre of music will always thrive. Latin music will always be around, and it always brings people. You can go to any party, especially in Italy, and turn on a Tito Puente record, and everybody will start dancing. Thank you for your question. Grazie, muy grazie.
We had a question from a student in Spain, as well as the same question was sent in through Boca, down in Boca Raton. But the students want to know, how do you balance your keeping up with your father's legacy as well as creating your own legacy? How do you do that?
It's kind of tough, you know. A lot of people come to my concerts, but when you do come to a Tito Puente Jr. concert, I do take you down memory lane. It's almost like a class, like a Mambo 101 class. I'll take you through the whole her career and historical, you know, significance of certain songs that Tito Puente, my father, did during his illustrious 50-year career. He had over 186 albums, star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, featured in many movies and Grammy Awards. And I kind of take you down. So it's great. I always encourage parents or grandparents, teach your kids about where Latin music comes from. Teach your kids about Tito Puente, Celia Cruz, the King, the Queen. These are icons and legends. They should never be forgotten. They should always be in our memories, especially they were the pioneers that opened the door for all the Latin musicians that you hear today. In continuance of bringing his music around the world, I continue playing his music in the nostalgic sound that he had. And it's great to see people around the world still continuing to buy and listen and celebrate his life, especially this week, you know, simply because it's his 98th birthday tomorrow. And I'm glad that everybody's there's still Tito Puente fans out there, old and young, including the new generation. Remember 20 years ago, a kid was born, my father passed away. So now I'm bringing that music that they never got to experience live and in person and in concert. Hopefully we'll get out to seeing you guys real soon around the world and bringing Tito Puente music to your town. Pero gracias, muchísimas gracias, mi gente de España. Te quiero mucho.
Speak a lot of languages. So
yeah.
Before we let you go, first of all, thank you for sharing about your dad's legacy as well as, you know, the music that you're creating. And before we let you go, is there any advice that you could give to these kids as they kind of go out into the world and figure out what they want to do, whether it has to do with music or not?
Yes. I get this question a lot, and it was kind of tough, guys. And I want to tell everybody that's watching right now and listening, it was kind of tough this year. Actually, I won't only say it was very, very hard on all of us through this whole pandemic and going through this virtual world that we have to be socially distant. However, my father taught me this, and I just want you guys to remember this. After you get vaccinated and we come out of this and on the other side of it, we're all in it together. My father taught me something that was very, very special. I still hold this true to my heart. Surround yourself with creative people, thus you will be creative. I encourage you guys, if you are musicians, hang around other musicians. When you come out of the socially distant thing, hang around other musicians, because I love being around my orchestra. I haven't been around my band in a whole year, but hopefully soon I can be around them, and I feel that camaraderie of Latin music, of the percussion playing, of all of that. And if you are an up-and-coming musician, whether it be a singer, songwriter, a musician, piano player, drummer, percussion player, horn player, whatever instrument that you play, definitely surround yourself with other creative people. You bounce vibes off each other. And that's what really was missing this past year during this pandemic. But I hope at the other end of this, we could all get back together and have live music, all come together and listen to the great music of El Rey de Timbal, Tito Puente. And I appreciate each and every one of you for taking your time today and come visiting me in my home, and hopefully we'll be out of this soon. I should be on the road soon. And don't forget to follow me, guys. I'm on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, and you guys can see all the new stuff that I'm doing, and I'm excited about it. But that's what the advice I can give everybody. Surround yourself with creative people I promise you, you'll be creative. And listen to Tito Puente music always.